Hello and welcome everyone. So week 4 of 50-day husband blessing and encouragement challenge. My name is Agatha Fair. How's y'all's challenge going? I pray everyone is very blessed in your personal walk with the Lord and in your marriage as you go through this challenge for the rest of this year. Marriage is a covenant. Marriage is a covenant. Remind yourself of why you fell in love with him in the first place. Daily, so this weekly focus. Remember that marriage is a sacred covenant, a lifelong promise that unites two people in love, fidelity, and faith under God's design. This week, reflect on the foundation of your marriage and remind yourself why you chose your husband. Mark 10, verse 8-9, and they twain shall be one flesh, so then they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Reflection. Take a moment to remember why you fell in love with your husband. What was it about him that drew you to him? How did you feel when you decided to marry him? What made you commit to choosing him above all others? Write a heartfelt letter to yourself recounting the qualities and memories that inspired your decision to marry your husband. This exercise allows you to reconnect with your initial love and admiration, rekindling those feelings in your present relationship with your husband. The meaning of marriage. Marriage, Webster 1828 dictionary definition. The act of uniting a man and woman for life, wedlock, the legal union of a man and a woman for life. Marriage is a contract both civil and religious by which the parties engage to live together in mutual affection and fidelity till death shall separate them. Key points. Instituted by God to prevent promiscuity, promote domestic happiness, and ensure the upbringing of children. A feast prepared to celebrate a marriage. The kingdom of heaven is likened to a certain king who arranged a marriage banquet for his son. That story is found in Matthew 22, verse 22. Go back and read the whole story. And a scriptural symbol of the union between Christ and his church, Revelation 19. Marriage is not just a civil agreement, but a spiritual bond, sacred and eternal. A part of our spirit and soul is involved in a marriage. A covenant. The meaning of covenant, Webster's 1828 definition, to come, a coming together, a meeting or agreement of minds. 1. Definition and nature. A covenant is a mutual agreement or consent between two or more parties to perform or refrain from a specific act. It is a contract or stipulation. A covenant is often formalized through a deed that is written, sealed, and executed. Alternatively, it may be implied within the terms of a contract. So a covenant can be more than just a marriage covenant. A marriage is a covenant, that is a contract. But if there's other things with two or more parties in different covenants that one can have, as in a covenant or a contract of buying a home, there's a contract for that. So there's more than two parties involved there. That's what the definition of the covenant is here. So 2, written agreements. A covenant may also refer to a document outlining the terms of an agreement or contract between parties, or the specific clause within a deed that contains the covenant. 3. Theological context. The covenant of works refers to the agreement implied in God's commands, prohibitions, and promises where human perfect obedience would grant happiness. This principle can be summarized as do this and live, fail, and die. The covenant of redemption represents the mutual agreement between the Father and the Son concerning the redemption of sinners through Christ. The covenant of grace is the promise by which God offers salvation to humanity, contingent upon belief in Christ and adherence to the terms of the gospel. 4. Ecclesiastical use. In church matters, a covenant is a solemn agreement among church members to live together according to the teachings of the gospel, fostering brotherly love and mutual support. 5. Covenant, verb, intransitive. To enter into a formal agreement, stipulate or bind oneself by contract. For instance, A covenants with B to transfer ownership of a specific estate. When terms are explicitly stated, the agreement often specifies the subject or price. Example, they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. Story of Judas in Matthew 26. Betraying our Messiah. Covenant, verb transitive, to grant or promise something through the terms of a covenant. Practical task for this week. So write a letter to yourself, dear woman, listing all the reasons you chose your husband and why you continue to choose him every day. Remember that love is a choice. It's not just a feeling. Our feelings will lie to us often, and something that I have learned is the devil can manipulate our feelings. So choose your husband every day. Include qualities you can admire, fond memories, and the ways he has been a blessing to you. 2. Meditate on Mark chapter 10, verse 8 and 9, reflecting on how God brought you together and how you can honor this sacred covenant. Workbook section. Reflection journal, letter to yourself. What qualities about your husband stood out to you when you first met him? How has your marriage grown since your wedding day? What steps can you take to strengthen your covenant today, this week? And there, in the book section, there's a space to write your letter, or if you want to take a different piece of paper. What I often do is I write more than what the book has space for, so I'll just take a different piece of paper, write my letter on there, and then I'll tape it or glue it into my book. In this week's progress review, I reflected on the reasons I chose my husband. I wrote a letter to myself about our covenant. I meditated on the scriptures about marriage.